Welcome to the Snips Media, a quiet space for timeless wisdom. Here, we explore the ideas, teachings, and inner truths that have guided humanity across centuries, not to tell you what to think, but to invite you to reflect. Today, we turn our attention to Hafiz. Hafiz lived in 14th century Persia, yet his words feel as though they were written for this very moment. He was a poet, a mystic, and above all, a lover of truth. Not the kind of truth that lives in books or arguments, but the truth that lives in the heart, felt rather than explained. To read Hafiz is to feel gently undone. Little is known about his outer life. He is believed to have spent most of his years in the city of Shiraz, living quietly, reciting poetry, and studying the sacred texts of Islam. But Hafiz was never interested in surface religion. He wasn't drawn to rules, titles, or appearances. What mattered to him was direct experience, union, presence, love. For Hafiz, the divine was not distant or unreachable. God was not something to be feared or negotiated with. God was intimacy itself, something closer to you than your own breath. And so his poetry speaks boldly, sometimes playfully, sometimes scandalously, about divine love. You'll often find Hafiz speaking of wine, of drunkenness, of taverns and revelry. But this was never about alcohol. The wine Hafiz poured was consciousness. The intoxication he praised was awakening. To be drunk in Hafiz's world meant to lose the rigid self, the ego that clings, judges, and fears. It meant to dissolve into something larger. Hafiz had little patience for spiritual arrogance. He often mocked preachers, scholars, and holy men who spoke of God but had never tasted love. To him, a single moment of sincerity was worth more than a lifetime of empty ritual. He once wrote words that echo even now. I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim. Not because he rejected faith, but because love had made him free. Freedom, for Hafiz, was the heart of spirituality. Freedom from fear, freedom from self-hatred, freedom from the small, tight identity we mistake for who we are. He believed the soul's true nature was joy, and that joy was not something to earn, only something to remember. What makes Hafiz endure is not philosophy, but warmth. His poems feel like a hand on your shoulder, like laughter shared in the dark, like a reminder whispered gently, "You are already closer than you think." Unlike many mystics, Hafiz did not retreat from the world. He embraced life fully, its beauty, its humor, its contradictions. He believed enlightenment did not require withdrawal, but presence. Not escaping life, but meeting it honestly. Centuries later, his poetry spread far beyond Persia. Today, Hafiz is one of the most widely read poets in the world, not because he explained reality, but because he softened people into it. His words bypass the intellect and speak directly to the heart, and perhaps that is his greatest teaching. That wisdom does not always arrive as answers. Sometimes it arrives as a feeling, a loosening, a quiet knowing that you are not alone and never were. Hafiz reminds us that the path is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before fear taught you otherwise. And so his invitation remains open, to laugh more freely, to love more deeply, to trust the quiet intelligence of the heart, because the door you are searching for has always been open,